Hello and welcome to exercise session number 6, where we are going to be talking about dictionaries. So as usual, my name is Tu Herlau and you can get support or tell me what you think about these recordings on Discord. So before I start with exercise session number 6, I want to cover some common problems because it might actually still be of some help for some who are trying to hand in project number 2. So those problems are going to be some weird Unicode error stuff that some of you might have seen and we discussed quite extensively on Piazza. Then I'm going to say a little bit more about installation problems. It's more or less going to be a repeat of what has already been said a lot of times, but I think it's still useful. And then the last thing is that I'm going to explain why your tests are so damn slow, and that is our fault. The good thing is that it's really quick to fix. So this last problem, the test might not just be slow, they might also not appear, and that can also be fixed. So I'm going to show that now. Okay, so let's get to it. So let's start with the Unicode stuff. So this one I've seen a couple of times on Piazza, so I'm just going to go here on Piazza, and we can see that there is a person here who get this error in particular. So this is a little strange. Like, what does this mean? It basically means that it's trying to read one of your files and then it crashes. I'm really puzzled about this error and like why it even occurs multiple times, because what happens here is that Python encounters a letter in a file, a Python file which is not legal, and non-legal letters, that's not like a Chinese letter or AO in Danish or something else. It's like a really strange character which is not possible to enter on a normal keyboard. So what can have happened here is I think one of two things. So either you have renamed a file to a Python file that shouldn't have been renamed. So let me show what I mean by that. So maybe what has happened is that you've taken let's go into this one, and then let's go into this one, and here's some files that are not Python files, and then you could have taken one of these files and renamed it to .py, and that would cause this problem. I didn't consider this thing as ever occurring, so I didn't think about this. The other thing that can trigger that, and which I've seen a couple of times, is here's another person who had it, and here it actually turned out that what might have happened is that he may have collaborated a little with a friend on probably not one of the projects, because that's not allowed. But what happened was that the friend used another computer than him, a Mac I think, and on that computer he put in emojis in the exercise, and then when you open that file with the emojis on a Windows machine, you apparently get this problem. I was not aware of that either, and copying text in that way between computers is not exactly what we've anticipated. So that's something that can happen apparently. Here's how you fix it. So to fix it, you need to know what file is causing the problem. And I wrote a small piece of Python code that can actually tell you that. So I'm going to just take this code here. You can find this on Piazza, and otherwise you can pause the video and type it in manually. And then you can go here to students folder. So this part is really important. You need to go to the students folder. Let me just do like this and like this. So you go to the students folder, and then you want to create a new file. So come on, create a new file. So I press this one, new file, and then I write, I don't know, find my bad file.py. The name is not important. Then I copy paste in this code, and you can pause the video now and see what it is if you're curious. Then I basically just save the file. So I press Ctrl S, and you can see now it's saved. Otherwise you can do file and then save. And now all I need to do is I need to run this file, and I'm just going to run it like this. So what it does in this case is that it reads through all the files on my computer and just check that they're readable. And of course they are, because like, why shouldn't they be? Let's try to do something a little bit naughty just to confirm that this actually works. So I'm going to take in unit grade data, then I'm going to take one of these files, And honestly, I'm not sure that this will even break because I'm using Linux, but I think it has a chance of breaking at the very least. So I made a copy of this file. Now I'm just going to rename it to .py. This is very, very bad because when I open it, open anyway, so Visual Studio Code is warning me that there's something wrong with this file. And it looks like this. This is binary data. This is the stuff that Python doesn't like, and it's like really actually very angry about this. So it's not so good. Anyway, now we got this bad file. Let's see what happens. So here we get the same mistake, and yeah, that's basically just Python telling me that this file has a problem. And you can see that it prints out this script. It prints out this is the file that's causing the problem. The file just before the error. So in this case, it would be veek02headlog.py. So let's go out and we delete it. Goodbye. And yeah, my computer is, I don't know, my computer hates when I delete files. So it's very, very slow. Come on, delete. There you go. And now everything works again. So that's how you fix that problem. Let's look at the next problem on our list. So where is our list? Our list is here. So our next problem is installation problems again. This is like a solution that I have. I feel like I said a lot of times at this point in various forums, but I think it still has a value of sort of covering it once more. So let's say that you're on a Mac and you try to run a script and it basically says it cannot find the package CP. So like I cannot provoke that error on my machine. And you feel that you did run this install command. You did sit down and say pip install requirements.txt. So why is it complaining that it cannot find some stuff you already ran this command? Well, that's probably because you're on a Mac and you have two versions of Python, and that's what's causing the problem. So how can you fix it? Well, you take a random file like this one, and then you select run. And it doesn't matter whether this file is going to run or it's going to fail. Let me take something that's not from week 6. Let's just do this one from week 5. So we run this file, and it doesn't matter what it does. What matters is that it prints out here. It prints out exactly what version of Python it's configured to use when you press run file. And that means that if I use this version of Python to install the requirements file, it's going to be included in the right version of Python. I don't know if that's a very confusing explanation, but here's basically what it would look like. I would take this, where did it go? I would take this path here, copy paste it. Oops, that didn't work. Linux. Copy, paste. See, Linux is haunting me. Anyway, I type it in exactly as it's given here. It has to end on Python. On many Macs, it's going to end on Python 3, and that's fine. Just copy in whatever it says here. And then you write Python, and then you write -m, and then you write pip install -r requirements.txt. The same command that you've seen before, but now we give the full path to Python. And then you press enter. And that should do the trick. There are situations where this too will fail if your version of Python on the Mac is very, very old. It will not work, but in all cases where I tried this, it has actually worked. So I think this is a foolproof way of fixing nearly all Mac computers. Just as a final hint, on most Macs, this path... Oh, did it crash? Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, I think Visual Studio Code is having a holiday. But there's no way I'm re-recording this video, so pay no attention to this. We're just going to restart. Aye. Anyway, on most Macs, that command would look like this. If my memory is correct, pip install -r requirements.txt, like this, exactly this command, and that should work on most Macs. You can always check what version of Python you have by doing this. Like if you type Python -- version, it's a little bit truncated, it doesn't look so good, like this. Now it looks better. Then you can see what version of Python I have. On my computer, this will not work. It'll print out 3.11, and it has to be at least 3.8 in order for this to have a chance. But that'll be true for nearly all computers. Okay, that was the second issue out of the way. Last one. Why the tests are so slow? That was because someone by accident uploaded a badly configured test script. So that's the one for week 5. So let me just show you how you do that. So what happens? Like, what is the default mode here? The default mode is basically when you press this icon, nothing happens. So it's okay that it takes a little bit of time, like it does here, but it shouldn't take a little bit of time. Maybe I do have a problem. Actually, I think I have a problem. I think I put back the offending text. Okay, now it came up. But for some of you, this is going to hang for forever, and that's not acceptable. So here's how you fix that. You go to your files, then you navigate to the CP folder, then you navigate to tests, and then you press on tests week 5. And then, yeah, I do have the problem. Then the problem is this line and this line. You can either remove them or you can turn them into comments like this. So now they are marked as green, and that means that Python is going to ignore them. I save this file, and then just to be completely sure, because very few who downloaded the source code super early have the same problem in week 0. I just discovered that today. So you just go to test week 0, you go down, and you check, I do indeed have this problem. So in that case, you need to comment these 2 lines out. The reason why these lines are bad is because the tests, your tests are going to contact this server to check for updates. That's not a feature that we use in this course, but it was left in by accident. And you can see that I have this file because I got it super early. And since the server is becoming overloaded because maybe like 50 are doing that at the same time, it starts timing out, and that's why the tests are so slow to show. They run fast enough once they're there, but they can be super slow. So now everything is a lot snappier because it no longer contacts the server. So that was our bad. I hope that solves most of the problems. The last thing I maybe want to say something about is how to debug this hangman problem. Because many of you are trying to solve it right now, and maybe it's a good illustration of how you should generally work with these problems. So here's like my test, and you can see I have a ton of problems. So when I press run on this one, I get an error. Then I can press test results, and then I can see that in this case the problem is that I was supposed to print out 22 lines for this problem. So this is the win problem where I win the hangman game, and I only printed out zero lines. And then that in itself is maybe not so useful, because like, what scenario exactly was it that I tried here in the win scenario? But you can actually see that very easily, because if you press this button here, it jumps to the test, and then you can see that I called hangman. I agree that you need to squint a little in order to see that it's exactly this line, but you can recognize the hangman function. I tried to play hangman with the word doggy with 8 guesses, and the input that I gave was Q, D, G, O, Y, and if I do that, it's supposed to solve the game in exactly 22 lines. So then you can of course try this line yourself in your code. You can take it, you can go back to your files, you can find your hangman function, It is, I guess it's back in week 4. Hangman, just go to the bottom of the script, and now we copy paste this one in. And now when I press run, I can sit and manually type in QDOGY and see what happens. And if I get something different than 22 lines, that means that I have a problem, and I can carefully inspect my output and compare to the exercise description and find out what the problem was. Okay, that's all I have to say. So I hope this may be of help of the very few who are still working on the project. And otherwise, I hope, of course, it can be a help for those who might wonder why the test was slow, or who may get the Unicode error sometimes in the future. So thanks for your attention.